So everybody is on page 272. Yes. Okay. Awesome. All right, I just have a couple review questions. So I want to go over some of the vocabulary terms that we should now know just from using these words. So I'll ask the questions and you guys just call out the answer. What is a pay period? How would you describe that?
It's like the amount of time that you do all your accounting stuff, because so like all the stuff we were doing like chapters, like the I forget what it's called. With the balance sheet and that stuff, you all do all that in a pay period. It's just like a specific amount of time. It's not like January 1st or it could be, but
I think you're thinking of like a fiscal year.
okay. Do you mean like
I mean a pay period for an employee.
Gets paid
Yeah.
for a certain amount of time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit funky to describe, but it's the time period for someone's paid check, basically. Yep. And it can be 1 week, 2 weeks, monthly. Those are your typical standard ones. Someone describe the difference between gross earnings and net earnings.
It is a company, gross earnings is a company's total cash, like the cash they get before deductions are taken out, and net earnings would be after taxes and stuff, and it's like deductions are taken out.
Yes, it is. Net earnings are after your taxes taken out, but that is what each employee would earn. So gross earnings is what you earn as an employee before those taxes are taken out. Net is after taxes. Okay, what is the Fair Labor Standard Act?
There's a reason I answered the question.
So you didn't have to answer the next ones. It's also called Federal Wage and Hour Law.
Is this for overtime?
It is for overtime. Yep. That's the law that states that anyone who works over 40 hours in a work week has to get paid more than their regular hourly pay for those extra hours. Yep. Okay, what is a payroll tax deposit?
Is that just the money you? It's like a separate account.
Not quite.
Not an employee pays payroll tax.
So the payroll tax deposit is the amount that the company is going to pay to the government, like the total amount they pay. Yeah. So as your employer taxes you, that total sum amount that they pay in is the payroll tax deposit. Okay, so these should be pretty familiar. What's a W-4?
It's the form that you give your employer before you start working for them, so that they know what deductions are due.
Exactly. You got it. All right, what is FIT? What's that stand for and what is it?
Federal income tax.
Good. Federal income tax. What do we use to find that?
You use your information from your W-4 and then you put it into like your specific part.
Yep, that worksheet. Good. What's FICA?
Social Security and medical.
It is. It consists of Social Security and Medicare. Does anyone know what the acronym actually stands for?
Federal Income California.
Federal Insurance Contributions Act.
Okay. Federal Insurance Contributions Act. This was a really good try, Dave. Good. What are the rates for Social Security and Medicare?
6% for Social Security, 1.5%.
6.2%.
That makes a big difference.
1.45% for Medicare.
Good. Yeah. 6.2% and then 1.45%. Good. All right. What's state income tax?
That's just the income tax. It's just a certain percentage that some states have. They just tax it.
Yep. Yep. So the rest of that stuff's going to federal stuff, and the state wants their money too. So there's a separate one for state. What could other tax withholdings be? Give me a couple examples.
Union.
Yeah, the union fees. There's one more that's been pretty common.
Like medical.
Yep. Medical insurance sometimes is withheld. Good. Okay, last one. What's the payroll register?
The thing that you can.
Yes,
Our
the
Excel thing.
The Excel thing. Can you describe what it consists of?
Your name, your name, date, your taxables, your
Yeah, it has all the details of the pay for each of your employees. Good. All right. So this section is focusing on recording and paying the payroll. So we're going to talk about recording the payroll today. So at the end of our Excel sheets, you have had those department sections. Sales, office, sometimes it was, what were the other two they were using? Business analyst expense, programming development. And initially we were just kind of putting a check mark, or we were saying, yes, this person works in sales, yes, this person works in the office department. Moving forward, what we'll put there is the gross pay, and we would put it in that section, because we're going to have to track the total amount that it costs each department to have that employee. Does that make sense? I will show you an example here in just a moment. To track your payroll, we're going to be recording this in a journal. So it's going to be a journal entry like we have been doing in your general journal. So take a look at the bottom of page 272. There's a yellow journal. It starts with the date, and then you see business analyst expense and programming development expense. Those two amounts are the gross pay for those departments. So we're going to flip back. Let me find the page number quickly. 267. So we're going to flip back and forth between those two. So keep your hands in both. 267 showed that initial payroll register. And if you look at the very far end, it has business analyst and then program development. And you can see the total that they're putting there is the gross pay, not the net pay. It's the gross pay, the actual total amount it costs the company to have this employee. Okay? Because those taxes that come out of the employee's paycheck, it still costs the company the same amount. They still have to pay that just elsewhere. They have to pay it to the government. So those are the gross pay amounts. And if you have multiple employees, like the examples we did that had 5 employees, you would add all the numbers together and be the total amount for the sales department, total amount for the office department. Now the rest of them, we are going to be totaling up our payroll registers, and we'll be totaling up the gross pay, the net pay, our FICA deductions, our federal income tax, state, and the other withholdings. So in this example at the bottom of page 272, the FICA Social Security tax payable is an account that we will be creating to pay that out. So accounts payable would be what kind of account? What category would it be under? It's a liability. So all of these are liabilities, and those liabilities are increasing, which means they're going to go on that right-hand side. Okay? The two before that are expenses, which increase on the left-hand debit side. Okay, so let's just take a look at where they're getting the numbers. So FICA, Social Security, $290.35. Flip back to the register, 267. And we're looking at Social Security. So find the Social Security, which is still in that top section, the far right, taxable earnings. There's the FIT and then Social Security. Nope, just kidding. Go to the bottom. where the FICA deduction, the actual deductions are. I was looking at taxable income. The actual deductions, you can see that they're adding it up for each of those employees. For Jackson, Stow, and Reagan. So you gotta add the total up, and that's the amount that would be journaled. Then we have Medicare tax payable, the next one on the journal. And you can see on the payroll register, that is the total amount of Medicare withheld from all employees. Are we tracking? All right, next one is federal income tax payable. Again, these are going to all be payable accounts. We have to pay this amount out. Federal income tax payable. We flip back, we look at the federal income tax deduction, and we would have that all totaled up. And it would be $715. Okay, so state income tax is the same, medical insurance is the same, and then wages and salaries payable. So the wages and salaries payable is going to be the net pay amount. So what they would do, so if you flip back to the register, look at that net pay column, and you can see the net pay for each individual employee, and then we would total that up and journal it. Okay, so I'm gonna do an example on the screen. So at this point, you can just follow along for right now. And I'll get it opened up. Yeah, I'm gonna use this one. Okay, so I want to find totals for some of this stuff. I need totals for FICA. So what I would do is create a totals line. Just make sure. And you guys know how to add up a whole column, hopefully. I'll zoom in and do it slowly. So for FICA, I would come here, it would be equals sum, parenthesis, and then if there were other numbers in here, which I didn't do this whole thing, you just take it and highlight all of it. You would just click drag, close that parenthesis, and you can hit enter or tab, and it would give you the total. This is being fun. Okay, so Medicare, same process, equals sum, parenthesis, highlight your whole column, whatever the numbers are, close your parenthesis. I hit tab. I'll show you what happens if you hit enter. You can hit tab or enter and it will total it up for you. Your federal income tax, we need to know how much total was withheld from all of our employees. If I would click enter, it would take me down to the next row. And then I have to click again, so it's a little bit of a time waster, but not a huge deal. Total all these up. Total our fees up. And we'll total our net pay. And over here, instead of just writing sales, what's the number that goes here? My gross pay, good. So I would just come over to gross. I'm just gonna copy it and paste it. Same for both. So then what does that journal entry look like? Okay. So trust me on these numbers, those are the ones I just calculated. Remember, our sales expense was $1,200 and our office expense is $1,270. Okay? Those, again, are the gross pay. And they're an expense now, sales expense and an office expense. So we track them on the left. Don't forget to add your date in and to label it. So then we go through the rest of our withholdings. We have our FICA, Social Security, and remember it's going to be tax payable, and that would be the total, 146. Medicare tax payable, and your total. So we would go through each and every one of these, including the union dues payable. Total it up and journal it. Finally, the wages and salaries payable should be your net pay, the total net pay for every employee that you have. And then down here, that's just kind of your note of what's going on. To record payroll for, and then you put the date. I couldn't remember what date was this problem, so that's my date. Okay. Now let's go ahead and look at what those ledgers look like. So look in your textbook at page 273. This is the next step. I don't actually think, I'm not going to say that, hang on. Okay. So 273 has your ledgers. You have wages and salaries payable. Wages and salaries payable, remember that is going to be the net pay. Everything added up. Again, that's a liability, so the right side is where you put the number. Your Social Security payable and Medicare payable. Your totals added up and placed on the right-hand side because they're liabilities, so they increase on the credit side. The rest of these are liabilities. We should know how to track these in T accounts. Yes? Head nods? Okay. The last two just to look at there is the business analyst expense and the programming development expense. Just remember the expenses, which will be the gross pay for all employees in that department, is an expense, and expenses increase on the debit side. So make sure those go on the left side. All right, and then lastly for today, this on the screen and in the middle of page 273 is the process for payroll. You're gathering your payroll information first, and then you're going to record it in that payroll register, which we've done a couple times, so we're good with that. Then, from the payroll register, we're going to record it in our journal as a journal entry. Then we will take the information from our journal entry and post it into our ledger accounts. Okay, so that is going to be the process for this. Today we're going to do just a couple of different practices to get used to it. So does everybody have worksheet? It had exercises. It had a yellow highlight at the top and a green highlight at the top. I'm looking for the green highlight. Forms for exercises, we would be doing 7-3. If you could find that, that would be great. If not, I have just a couple extra. Yes. Does anybody need one?
That's on mine.
Don't get it.
You still have mine.
I think I gave yours back to you. But I can give you an extra one. Actually, let me double check this, Logan Lance. It might be right here. Sorry, I do still have it. Here. Thank you. Unable to start while it's running.